Hello everybody, my name is Ethan. Welcome back to the channel where today we are jumping back into the machine learning course on Codecademy. In the previous video, we finished out the bash scripting module in this entire software engineering kind of chapter. So in the next chapter here, we're going to be doing the Learn Git 2. So we have a couple other videos on this channel that are a part of this series that detail some of the introductory stuff into Git and GitHub. And so we're going to go into it a little bit more right now. This is going to be probably marked up into a couple of different chapters just because from what I can see there's a couple different projects. So we're going to learn some stuff, do some projects, and usually I like to end out on a project. So these might be a couple shorter videos, but that's okay. Let's get into it. GitHub and Markdown. Why learn Markdown? Once we add our code to GitHub, how do we actually format the text in our repository? Technically, we could use plain text on everything, but if we wanted to highlight our project with code blocks, insert images into our project descriptions, or visually paste our documentation with headings, using Markdown on GitHub is the answer. With a little bit of Markdown magic, you can achieve text that includes headings, hyperlinks, emojis, check marks, and code blocks like in the following, right? So, just like in the following, there's a bunch of other stuff. All right, Markdown is an indispensable skill and can be opened in many other applications, not just GitHub. Okay. So what is Markdown video here? I'm not going to kind of go into it, and I earned 5 XP for clicking the skip button. Very fun. So we'll read instead. What is Markdown? An alternative way to style a text document for readability and portability. Introduction. If you're looking for a simple way to create visually appealing text documents without using any fancy editors, check out Markdown, invented by John Gruber and Aaron Schwartz. Or Swartz maybe, no CH there, so maybe Aaron Swartz in 2004. Markdown provides a lightweight syntax to style any document so that it can be converted to HTML for viewing and publishing. Differences between HTML and Markdown. Markdown translates to HTML, but Markdown is not a replacement for HTML. Markdown syntax can be converted to a small subset of HTML tags to do things like format text, add links, display images, and more. You can even incorporate HTML elements inside a Markdown document. To render Markdown in HTML, though, you would need a tool called Markdown Parser. More about this parser later on. Benefits of using Markdown. Why would you use Markdown to compare to HTML? Writing text in Markdown is much faster because the syntax is simpler. The authors of Markdown intended Markdown to be a language for writing styled text with syntax that is just as easy to read as it is to write. Imagine that you're writing down something important on a sheet of paper. If we wanted to emphasize that the text, we might underline it, twice even. Similarly, in Markdown, we could write title of document, underline, underline. Notice that we have a plain text as a row of equal signs to produce a first level header, also known as H1. On a web page, the heading would display as such, title of my document. The amount of equal sign doesn't matter as long as there's at least one and goes under the text. For text that's more important, but maybe not as important as the first level heading, we might just underline it one time. In code, we use a row of hyphens, like so, to produce a second level header known as an H2. Subtitle of my document. Both examples are valid Markdown syntax. It is intuitive and normal for headings to be in either format. Alternatively, you can format headings using the hashtag character. We'll show more examples of different headings, but for now, here's an example of valid syntax for an H1 heading. Title of my document. Furthermore, a Markdown document without any HTML tags can be published as is because its syntax is already made easy for viewing. For example, the following Markdown document already has styled heading, emphasize weak, bulleted list, and several lines. So, as you can see, we have a to-do list, a bunch of different things. Looks like we're emphasizing something when we put these asterisks here. Bold, looks like double asterisk is going to insert a bold, right? And then we have a numbered list, and then perhaps a bulleted list. The HTML equivalent would be something like this. Very nice. When viewed on a Markdown parser such as stackedit.io, you will see this. Very nice. Or based on Codecademy's parser, it would look like this, right? All right, well, both parsers take the same Markdown input. They render slightly different HTML based on their internal configuration and CSS. When to use Markdown. After knowing the many benefits of Markdown, you may want to consider using Markdown if you ever find yourself in any of these scenarios. The only editor available to use supports just plain text. Time is of the essence, and you can't afford to learn how to use an unfamiliar rich text editor. You need to quickly outline your ideas in a structured but presentable manner, and you want your document to be portable so that it can convert to HTML, PDF, EPUB, and or MOBI. Markdown document extension. Contrary to popular belief, Markdown is not a document format. Therefore, it doesn't require a strict file extension naming convention such as .md. As the official Markdown mailing list explains, Markdown isn't meant to take over the format of a file. Any file extension that you would normally use to name your text, such as .txt or .text, is appropriate. However, organizations such as GitHub have a preference to accept Markdown documents to appear with a .md or .markdown extension. Markdown applications. Since Markdown has gained a lot of popularity, you'll find Markdown content being accepted in many applications. Website publishers that accept Markdown include WordPress, Ghost, a Beaker browser. Tools such as Jankel, Docusaurus, MKDocs can convert Markdown into static website geared for technical documentation. Take a look at the page. This page rendered in HTML and it's text source styled. So we can take a look. This is what it looks like in HTML, right? And it's text source, right? This is the text source. Make myself look a little bit radiating there, but that's okay. The Markdown parser. A Markdown parser is a software written to parse the Markdown syntax in a text document and convert it into HTML syntax. The original Markdown parser was written in Perl, but you can find the parser implementations today in almost any programming language. Regardless, a basic Markdown parser should support the core Markdown syntax, paragraphs, headers, block quotes, emphasis, lists, code, images, and links. There are Markdown parsers that are freely available on the store: StackEdit.io, Dillinger Parse, and Markdown to HTML Converter. In addition to parsing and rendering both parse and Markdown to HTML Converter, also convert the Markdown document into a raw HTML so that you can copy and paste the HTML to be used elsewhere. All right, Markdown tutorial. Let's learn a little bit more about the Markdown syntax. As mentioned above, you can simulate an H1 tag with a hashtag Markdown symbol. There are 6 headings, 1 through 6. We can simulate them with however many we do, right? So it kind of, how big is the text, right? So if we want it bigger, we use less of these, whereas if we want it smaller, we use more. In addition to numbered lists, you can also style a bulleted list. There are 3 different symbols that you can use to mark a line as a bullet: asterisk, plus sign, or hyphen. For example, produces all the same thing, which we use different ones, but it produces the exact same thing. Fourth, best practice, recommend you use the same marker throughout your list instead of mixing them like above, obviously. The core Markdown syntax does not include nested lists within another list, but it does allow paragraphs between list items. To do so, you need to add a blank line after a list item and indent 4 spaces or 1 tab before starting a paragraph. So it looks something like this, right? For example, for more examples on the basics, we can check out Common Mark's reference guide, but we can do a little bit of a fill in the blank here. Let's practice styling a page so that it contains a truncated description of one of Codecademy's courses. Learn to program Alexa. Fill in so that your output should look like this. So, we want our first header, right, is going to be the biggest one. So we're going to grab the least, right? Number 2, we're probably going to have why learn Alexa, right? And then for this last one, with comprehensive, you'll be prepared to, and we're going to want a dots. So we can use some pluses here. That would work. What you learn, it looks like it's going to be the smallest of these 3 big texts, right? So we'll use the 3. Finally, we can do the 1 and 2, and we did it right. Nice. All right, Markdown flavors. Because the core Markdown language supports only a subset of HTML features, many independent developers have extended the Markdown syntax to incorporate more HTML compatibilities and customize it for their own organizations. Here are a few popular flavors of Markdown. Common Mark is a body of special interest developers who work side by side on a proposal to standardize the Markdown syntax and offer extensive test suites to validate Markdown implementations against the specification. This standard has been used by other developers to base their code upon. GitHub Flavored Markdown, or GFM, is GitHub's expanded dialect of Markdown based on Common Mark and is used throughout GitHub platform as by its active community. Trello, a popular collaborative tool that organizes and tracks information through virtual boards and cards, implements a custom version of Markdown as well. So, conclusion, what we've learned about Markdown, we have learned that a little bit how it differs from HTML, how we can benefit from using it, where and when to apply it, how to write in Markdown, what a Markdown parser is and where to locate one, and where to find the other flavors of Markdown that are used in the industry. All right, perfect. If you missed the last video, they're doing this new XP thing. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it yet, so I guess we'll see. All right, mastering Markdown. It looks like we have a little bit of a quiz or something right here. So, mastering Markdown, external article for learning Markdowns. In this article, you'll learn how to use Markdown for styling text on the web, such as creating links and adding code blocks. This is helpful if you want to be able to control the display of your writing on GitHub and other platforms that support Markdown. After you finish reading the article, return to the page and complete the following assessments. So, it wants us to read this article first. Of course, it's going to be all white. I don't know if I can GitHub Docs. So it's teaching us kind of some other things on how we can quote text. Let's kind of go back and forth, I think, is going to be the best option for us. With regard to GitHub, why is it important to learn Markdown? Markdown is the squash coding. Markdown could be Markdown is style. Yeah, right? That makes sense. What Markdown not used for? Creating code edits to fix issues raised in pull requests. I'm going to say yeah. Obviously, it's not actually, Markdown's not going to be used as a tool to fix code errors. It's just going to be used as a tool to kind of make things look nice, right? Fill in the blanks to assign Markdown symbols to the correct style. So we have a header 2. Obviously, if it's a header 2, we're going to add 2. And then bold text, we'll wrap it in some asterisks. And nice. Yep, still don't understand. We're learning web development, 10 more XP towards that, so that's always nice. Markdown cheat sheet. So obviously there is also a Markdown cheat sheet that kind of implements a lot of the other stuff that we can do with Markdown. Pretty much probably all the basics, right? So how to do links, how to do everything. We'll keep that open just in case we need it later on. And we have another bit of an article here, which is okay. This might just be an article heavy part. Looks like we do have a little bit of a quiz after this. So this is the last article. How to write a good README for your project. This article explains the purpose, conventional structure, and proper formatting of a README file and best practices to follow when writing one. So what is a README file? You may have noticed that when a GitHub repo is or repository is initialized, you see a prompt to create a README file immediately. As implied by its name, a README file is a text file meant to be read as soon as somebody views their repository. This file contains text to introduce, explain, and share information required to understand what the project is about. Since a README is often the first thing a visitor sees, it should tell the viewer how to install and use the project. There is no one good way to structure a README, but there is only one bad way, not to include a README at all. So it wants me to complete the sentence. A README is the first thing a user sees in your GitHub repository. It provides a overview of what your project is about, probably. Yeah, there we go. Conventions of a good README file. Your README file should be as good as your project itself. Make your project stand out and look professional while at least including the following elements in your README: project title, description, features, how to use, technologies, collaborators, and license. Keep READMEs brief but detailed. READMEs should always be up to date and self-explanatory. If you spend a lot of time on your project, it should also include a good chunk of time on the README. It can help your future self as well when you step away from a while and need to get reacquainted with your project. Not to mention, it'll leave a positive impression on the future interviewers who look at your GitHub profile. Using Markdown to format READMEs. Keep in mind that nobody wants to read a long block of unformatted text loaded with information. That is why a README is usually a .md extension. Formatting README with Markdown can give them flair and make them interesting to read. So, as it just said, MD is the kind of file that typically your README end up being. Using headers. Every title or section in a README should be formatted as a header. Using headers and adding some HTML can achieve stuff like Codecademy Docs, documentation for popular programming. What are docs? Codecademy Docs is free, easily accessible reference for coding terms and concepts available for developers all over the world. So kind of an idea of what this is. take a look at the README on Codecademy's files, Docker repository for the code's source code. GitHub uses headers to automatically generate a table of contents for README files based on Markdown sections. Something like usage, requirements, and some other stuff, right? GitHub will find the headers and include them in a table of contents based on the header of hierarchy. Level up READMEs with media. Documentation doesn't always have to be boring. Go for images or videos, right? Do a little bit of media. Conclusion, write an engaging README. Make sure they are easy to follow and detail your project. All right, which of the following should you not include in a project's README files? I guess it... What is it? Yeah, maybe. I guess that makes sense. I thought it just said describing your project. I didn't read it fully, unfortunately. Since the README is usually the first thing, it should be clear and concise, right? Makes sense. Gotta love when it loads. Alright, looks like we actually have a bunch of stuff. Up until this point, you've branched a single Git branch. Note GitHub has changed the naming convention of the main branch from master to main. We'll be updating the instructions of code workspaces soon to reflect that. In the meantime, master refers to main. Git allows us to create branches to experiment with versions of a project. Imagine you want to create a version of a story with a happy ending. You can create a new branch and make the happy ending changes to that branch only. It will have no effect on the master branch until you're ready to merge the happy ending to the master branch. In this lesson, you'll be using Git branching to develop multiple versions of a resume. You can use the command below to answer the question, which branch am I on? Git branch. So it wants me to check what branch I'm currently on, so we can do git branch, and it looks like I'm on the master or the main branch, right? Branching overview. The diagram to the right illustrates branching. The circles are commits, and together form the Git repository commit history. New branch is a different version of the Git project. It contains commits from the main branch, but also has commits that it does not have. Click Next to make your first new branch. Git branch 2. Right now, the Git project only has one branch, main or master branch. To create a new branch, use the command git branch new branch. Here, new branch would be the name of the new branch you like to create, like photos or blurb. Make sure to name your branch something that describes the purpose of the branch. Also, branch names can't contain white spaces, so we would have to do some similar syntax to what we would do in Python, but we can't do like new branch. Let's create a new version of the resume to apply for a fencing instructor role. So we're going to create a new branch using git branch, and we'll call it fencing, right? Make sure to spell fencing correctly. Hopefully I did that. Next, view your branches as you did in the previous exercise. So we can do that by saying git branch. So we have fencing and master. And I assume when it's in green, it means that we're in that one. Git checkout. Great, you just created a new branch. The master and fencing branches are identical. They share the same exact commit history. You can switch to the new branch with git checkout name branch. Here, branch name is the name of the branch. If the branch name is skill, we would do checkout skill. Once you switch branches, you're going to make commits on that branch that have no impact on master. You continue your workflow while master or main stays intact. Switch to the fencing branch, so we can do that by doing git checkout and go into the fencing branch. So it tells us that we switched to that branch. Use git branch. We can do that now and do git branch, and now we see that we actually have a highlighted green instead this time. Perfect. Commit on a new branch. Congratulations, you have switched to a new branch. Add all the commands you do on master, you can also do on this branch. For example, to add files to the staging area, obviously we do the git add. Again, if you missed any of this content where we talked about adding stuff to the staging area and committing stuff, make sure to go check that out. It's a previous episode video again. We're going to print the commit log, so we can do that by just doing git log, and we'll see all the different commits that we have made. And it looks like we added a heading for volunteer experience, added scheming against Hook, and added task to Lost Boy Job. Okay, so in resume.txt, replace your skill at scheming against Hook with your experience in sword fights. So it wants me to delete the line scheme against Captain Hook, and instead type engage in sword fights with pirates, right? Make sure you are no longer in git log. Oops. Am I doing this wrong? I don't like that it's having this. I wish this was here. And I can't change it, unfortunately. I think I can just hit Control X, actually. How do we get out of the log again? It's Q. What was Control X? Something was Control X. So, we can add, let's keep going. Now we go git add, and we'll add resume.txt to the staging area, right? And then we're gonna commit. So we'll do git commit, and we won't forget to add our message, right? Which in this case, we made a change to resume.txt, change work experience text, and we've now, added that. We've now committed that change. Git merge. What if you want to include all the changes you made to fencing onto the master branch? We can easily accomplish this by merging the branch into the master or main branch by doing git merge branch name. For example, if I wanted to merge the skills branch to master, I would enter git merge skills. In a moment, you'll merge branches. Keep in mind, your goal is to update the main branch with changes you made to fencing. Fencing is the giver branch since it provides changes. Master is the receiver since it accepts those changes. So we want to switch over to the other branch, so we can do that by doing git checkout and then go over to the master branch, and we can check that we are in it by just doing git branch. We'll see we are actually on the master branch. Your sword fighting, we want to merge onto the master branch. Notice the output. Oh, okay, so we can do that git merge, and we'll do the git merge fencing. So it says updating, fast forward, resume.txt, 2 plus minus, 1 file change, 1 insertion, 1 deletion. Notice the output. The merge is a fast forward because Git recognizes that fencing contains the most recent commit. Git fast forwards master to be update with fencing. Merge conflict 1. The merge was successful because master had not changed since we made a commit on fencing. Git knew simply to update the main or master branch with changes on fencing. What would happen if you made a commit on master before you merged the two branches? Furthermore, what if the commit you made on master altered the exact same text you worked on in fencing? When you switch back to master and ask Git to merge the two branches, Git doesn't know which changes you want to keep. This is called a merge conflict. You're on the master branch in the code editor where you've written engage with sword fights with pirates. Add the word professional here, so it reads professional pirates. So professional, and it wants me to click run. Add resume to the staging area. We can do this by doing git add, and we'll do resume.txt. It is now added to the staging area. Commit the changes with a commit message, so we can now do git commit, and then we'll do the -m and have the message be add put it in an extra quote line, professional keyword to work experience section. Okay, imagine a few weeks have passed and you'd like to develop your fencing resume some more. Switch back to the fencing branch. So we can do that by doing git checkout and move over to the fencing branch. Now we're going to go and change I see. Okay, so it wants me to add change the line so it reads such as SME, right? And we're going to click run. Once again, add resume to the staging area. So we go git add resume.txt and commit the changes by doing git commit and add the message add such as SME to phrase to work experience section. Okay, cool. And we did it. Nice. So now merge conflict 2. Let's say you decide you like to merge the changes from fencing into master. Here's where the trouble begins. You've made commits on separate branches that alter the same lines in conflicting ways. Now when you try to merge, it's going to not know what file to keep. So we can now, if we do, it wants us to first switch back over to the master branch. It wants us to now say git merge fencing. And now here's the conflict. So we must fix the merge conflict in the code editor. Look at resume.txt. Git uses markings to indicate the head master version of the file and the fencing version of the file like this. In the code editor, if the markings are not showing in resume, please close. Okay, I see. That's why I was like very confused. Here we go. Now we can see where it says head, engage in sword fights, fencing, engage in sword fights with professional pirates such as me. Okay. Please close and reopen. Git asks us which version we'd like to keep on the master of fencing. You decide you want the fencing one. From the code editor, delete the content of the line as it appears in the master branch. Delete all of Git's special markings, including the word head and fencing. If any of Git's markings remains, for example, the conflict remains. Okay, so it wants me to basically keep the fencing one, right? So we're going to get rid of this keyword, right? We're going to get rid of that. Right. Now we can do git add resume.txt to the staging area. And now we can make our commit git commit -m choose between main and for work experience final phrase. Oops, not good. Git commit -m. I think we get the idea. Went go with fencing. Now make a commit. For your commit message, type I think we're gonna have to just replace with solution and go, because I think I would have already committed it on unfortunately. That's okay though. Delete branch. In Git, branches are usually means to an end. You create them to work on a new project feature, but the end goal is to merge them into the master branch or main branch after a branch has been integrated into master. It has served its purpose and can be deleted. The command git branch -d branch name will delete the specific branch from your Git repository. Now that master contains all the changes, let's delete fencing. We can do this by doing git branch -d and then specify the name fencing, and we've deleted the branch, right? Generalizations, let's take a moment to review. We learned git branch name, git checkout branch name, git merge branch name, and git branch -d branch name, right? Very nice. Very cool. All right. Birthday party. Let's get some Git branching in this project. You'll be using Git to make a one-page website for your friend Kay's birthday party, index.html. Don't be afraid. From the terminal, list the Git branches. So we can do that by doing git branch. And it looks like we have a master branch, a mama branch, and a Whitney branch, or MoMA maybe. Kay wasn't sure where she wanted to host the party. So you made several Git branches to explore different locations. Some of the branches are no longer needed. Delete the following branches. So we can do that by doing git branch -d, and we'll get rid of this branch. Okay. So some of the branches, you'll need the -d option because the features were never merged into master. Okay, I guess I should have kept reading. So we can do this. We can go to git branch -d MoMA, and then git branch -d, and then Whitney. Not Whitney, Whitney. Okay, cool. So that's what we did. In part 3, it wants us to see a version of the web page that includes an unordered list with bullet points instead, create a new branch. So we can, I'm going to clear it after everything, but git branch, and then the new branch name, we're going to call it unordered list. And switch over to it, so we can now do git checkout unordered list. So we've switched to the branch unordered list. In HTML or index.html, replace with this unordered list. So it wants me to, instead of having this, it wants me to instead put ul li join K in celebrating their 29th birthday with free food and beverages. Li. And we can now do another li, karaoke, and a special appearance by Willie Nelson. Wow, he's going to be there. Wow, that is going to be exciting. Explore the Met Museum before or after you stop by. And then birthday presents optional by saying birthday presents optional. Li. And we can end this off by doing a /ul. Really, it's not that important to know the HTML behind all of this, so don't worry too much about that. Just kind of understand we've replaced that now. So we can click save, add index.html dot the staging area. So we can do that by doing git add index.html. We've added the staging area. Oh my goodness, staging area. We're going to make a commit, so we'll say git commit -m, and the message would be replace paragraph with unordered list. Cool. K approves the changes you made on the unordered list branch. Switch over to master and then merge them. Okay, so we can now go git checkout, go back to the master branch, and then we can do git merge, and we have unordered list. And perfect. Okay, wants the heading to be way bigger. Create a new branch. This will be a fast forward merge. Okay, create a new branch. So we can now do git branch with the new branch name called big heading. Switch over to the big heading branch. Okay, so we can do that very easily by doing git checkout and go to the big heading branch. And it wants us to replace the line of H1, K's birthday party, with this line instead. So we can do, so we'll replace this by saying style equal font dash size 72 px ending. Okay, and we're going to click save. We'll add this to the staging area by doing git add index.html and make the commit by doing git commit -m, and the message would be basically we've changed the header. We've made the header bigger. Increase size of header. We've committed. She approves of it, so we can now merge the files. So we can do git. First, we're going to check out and go back to the master branch or the main branch, right? And we'll then merge it by doing git merge big heading. And it merged. Perfect. So we did that one. That project was very fun. Very nice. I think there might be one more project. Yes, there is. README. Ruby time calculator merge conflicts are a challenging event even for Git users. It's good as much practice. So we're dealing with conflicts in this one. This is probably a very good file to end up kind of getting into. We can back X out of that one. So it says we're currently on master, merge the edit branch. So we can do git merge edits. We'll see that we have two conflicts, right? So we'll reopen README here. The reason I closed it out, basically. So in edits, it's showing that they're very much different, right? Identify the merge conflicts. So merge conflict in examples MD auto merging read.md. Okay. So it says in I see, this is the difference. So in this one there's an actual link and some other stuff. So obviously we're going to want to keep this one, right? So we can get rid of that, get rid of that, keep that. We'll save that. We're first doing in README. Keep the file changes from the edits branch. Delete the file changes from head. Don't forget to delete all the git special markings. Click save. Add README to the staging area by doing git add readme.md to the staging area. Follow the same order of actions above for examples.md. So we'll now go into examples.md, and in this one it looks like in the edits, it's showing edits first. There's a lot of differences in this one. So it looks like we have Grace Hopper, same Grace Hopper, right? So we'll keep on Grace Hopper. In this one, it's saying that keep the edits branch, delete the head changes. Okay, so it just wants me to delete the head changes. So in this one, we have head looks like this, so we'll just delete the head changes, and we'll also obviously get rid of this. I see, not actually what we wanted to do. Hopefully it's not changing this back. It's not. Okay, we're good. Okay, so for the head it's Grace Hopper. So, and then that is that. So we can get rid of the head options. Get rid of the edits. So we'll keep that. So in this one, the head is this stuff. So we'll just as it was showing, get rid of it, and get rid of the edits one. And then finally in this section, we have to get rid of the head variable stuff and put in edits. And that looks like everything, to be honest. So we'll click save. We'll add examples to the staging area and make a commit. So we can do git commit and do accept edits, and it looks like we did that. Delete the edits branch, so we can now do that by doing git branch -d edits. Very nice, very nice. And that increased my DevOps by a lot. What does the command below accomplish? Git branch -d -branch, it's going to delete the my branch, right? Why is branch name my branch invalid? Branch names cannot contain white space. What is a common reason Git users make a new branch? To develop a new project feature, right? What does the code below indicate? A merge conflict, right? A Git branch has a branch bug fix. How do you switch to it? Check out bug fix. You run the master branch and create a new branch. The branch in the master is showing the exact commit history. The branch git branch command will not list the new branch. None of these. Every change you make to the new branch will also mean none of. Oh yeah, they do share the same. I thought it said different. Merge a branch called new feature into master, which is true. Master is the receiver branch, right? You try to merge two branches which contain commits that alter a file in conflicting ways. You try to merge two branches which contain commits that alter in conflicting ways. This is called a merge conflict. The command below, git branch new branch, creates a new branch, right? Which command will list all branches? We can just do git branch. Merging a branch into master will always integrates changes made on the new branch into master, right? Perfect. Nice. So that is going to be it for this video. In the next video, I guess we can look at the overview, but it's going to be exactly what I was talking about. In the next video, we're going to continue on and finish out this with some Git teamwork, I guess. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.